Good day, YouTube. Here we have War Mongrels. This is a game that we'll be reviewing for Keymailer. It is a game based in World War II, 1944. You play the story of two soldiers, and interestingly enough, two soldiers that are from the German ranks on the Eastern Front of World War II, which is actually part of the war in games that doesn't get picked up a lot. Usually you play as the Americans or the British, but very rarely will you play as the Germans, and very rarely will you be going up against the Russians. It's not turn-based, it's a dynamic isometric game, which is really interesting. This is your tutorial, quite obviously, showing you how to move your characters around. The interesting part of this is you control both characters at the same time. Now, whilst this is interesting, this also does make things quite difficult, which is something I will talk about in a bit when we get to combat. The game is made by Destructive Creations. It is for PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. It is a real-time tactic isometric game. Can be played in single player and two-player co-op. The graphics in the game are great. Like, the way that it looks, it's grungy, it's dirty, it's real. There is a lot of blood and death, and it doesn't hide it from you. It doesn't try to sort of glamorize it, nor does it try to sort of infantize it, or making it something easy to digest, making it cartoony. It doesn't do that. As we go through the tutorial, you'll see there's bits and pieces about, like, obviously, very, what I would call Metal Gear Solid-esque tactics. Creating distractions, then moving soldiers, and then taking them out like so. Picking the bodies up, moving the bodies around. And yeah, here, I was trying to pick up the weapon here. And at this early stage, you're not allowed to pick up the weapon, which to me doesn't make sense. You want to get a weapon as soon as possible, obviously. But we're going to take out another guard. And I'll show you how that's done, and then obviously how we're about to move the body. Being tactical and stealthy, especially in the early missions, is essential. Figuring out where you move the bodies, how you position yourself as both your people, as well as how you take out other soldiers, is essential. Otherwise, you will end up dying a lot, like I did in the beginning.
See those two? I bet I could take them at once.
Don't hold it. There's a guy up there. He'll see.
So here you see we're about to try and take out two of the officers at the front with Avold. And then now you're going to send Manfred up to take out the spotter. This is just part of the action where you are starting to use each character as best you can. But as you can see here, I didn't use them too well. And as soon as one person dies, mission failed. So let's try that again. We move Manfred up. You have to select the weapon every time before making an attack. The weapon has to be selected, which I found a little bit annoying. I would like to possibly see if you've already got a weapon selected from the last attack, maybe just have that as your weapon of selection. Now this was really helpful. So executing a plan and planning mode. Planning mode sort of slows time down and allows you to pick out your targets and get each of your characters to attack an individual at the same time. This proves very helpful not only in scenarios of stealth, but also if, you know, shit hits the fan and you end up having to go loud. It gives you brief moments where you get time to breathe, and also time to figure out what your strategy should be. It doesn't always work, as you can see here. Like, for some reason, I apparently went to hit both the same people with both my characters. I went to hit the same person with both my characters. So finally we're getting some weapons. It looks as though Avold's is set for the automatic weapons, and Manfred likes their single shot rifles. That, as far as I know at the moment, that's the style that they're going for. So Manfred is your distractor. He has the whistle and the clock, or the stopwatch, and Avold is your brute. Avold's the one that knocks people out, and he can break a bottle over people's heads and stab them with the bottle. Manfred is the people that distracts and gains attention. As you can see here, getting attention can be problematic. And this is where I found the controls quite difficult in combat. So in the middle of combat, the controls could be quite clumsy, where you had to collect weapons and do stuff like that. Maybe with a little bit more practice and a bit more patience, I can get used to it, but I did find them quite clumsy at the start. If you see here as well, look, this soldier has now seen the dead bodies. Thankfully, he moved into a position where I was able to snap his neck. We've moved forward a little bit more. One of the other interesting aspects is you just seen there is having, when the characters come close together, they will interact with each other, which is cool. You get these little monologues. I found quite interesting. So what you can see here is I'm using C, or the C mode, which allows for free movement and firing. It's definitely a nice aspect to the game. As I said earlier, you start firing, you're probably going to end up dead. Avold is the better one to go for, because he has the automatic weapon. But being able to move characters and free fire like this makes for a definite interesting aspect to the game. So it's not just completely static. But the issue then comes with if one of your characters is in the open and the other one you're using free mode, if the character who's out in the open or who gets spotted ends up dead, your run's over. As you can see here, we're using stealth to its utmost ability. We're trying to get through bushes. The purple areas are areas where you can't be seen by the enemy, and the shaded or crossed areas on that enemy's line of sight, it means that they would be able to see you standing but not see you crawling. So what we want to do is move as quickly as possible in a crawling motion without being seen by others from bush to bush in order to get to our objective. This level is incredibly crowded with enemies. Incredibly crowded with enemies. And it is very difficult to move freely without getting spotted. You definitely will not be able to get through this. I say that, someone's probably going to be able to do it. Be able to get through this with just open firing and hoping for the best. You have to be smart. You have to take your time. And you've got to play it right. So now here we have a situation where we have 5 officers or 5 enemy units, and we need to get into that barn. So here I'm using the planning mode again. So we're going to take out these 2 units as the other units are turned away. Now obviously we need... By the way, that dude sounds incredibly a lot like Geralt. I wonder if it is. I'll have to look it up. So we're going to pick up the bodies so that we don't cause any attention.
Removing the body.
For some reason, Manfred's not picked him up. Then we're going to select the 2, move them out to an area where the bodies are not going to be seen. Drop them down. Thankfully, you can control both of them with when you've got them selected. You can control both of them with one click, one action. And we've taken out the other one. Now we're going to try and take out these last 2. So again, clicking here to get the attack in, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't do the same issue, the same thing as I did last time, which is to click the same person. Thankfully I didn't, but Manfred got shot a little bit, but it didn't attract any of the other officers, which is great.
Avold, keep lookout. It'll just take a minute.
We've managed to get to the objective.
Shit. Fuck.
And this, I kept this in because this is quite interesting. It, as I said earlier, it doesn't hide away from the atrocities of war. 3 years worth of bodies being thrown into those pits. And, you know, war can sometimes be glorified in games. This definitely doesn't glorify it. It makes you sit and watch and be part of the action. Again, from a very interesting aspect of a German soldier at the time who then defected due to their conscience. So if you like the game, give it a check out. The links for both the dev and the game are in the description. Thank you, Keymailer, for giving me a chance to do this. And thank you, Destructive Creations. Next video is up here. Thank you very much.
What's your name?